This meeting will come to order. There's a quorum present. All notices have been duly posted and all commissioners are here in attendance. Is there a motion to open this court session?
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Available, open court.
Please rise. The Dallas County Commissioners Court is now in session for the June 2011 term with the Honorable Clay Lewis Jenkins presiding. Please remain standing for the invocation.
And our invocation today, and please silence your thoughts. Our invocation today will be given by guest Commissioner Cantrell.
Judge and Commissioners, it's certainly my pleasure today to introduce our guest pastor, who is John Brackman, who has served as a youth pastor, music director, and most currently the congregational pastor for the Destiny Christian Center, a growing and vibrant church in Garland, Texas. John graduated from the University of North Texas, where he and his wife Rachel both majored in music education. Pastor, thank you.
Father God, we come before you today thanking you for life, thanking you for freedom that we enjoy in this great country of ours, and thanking you for the quality of life that we also enjoy here in North Texas, and especially in this great county. And God, today as our public servants gather to hash out today's issues, I know that each one of them have sought wisdom in their own way. Today I ask the Father of all wisdom to come and grant the gift of wisdom today for them to be able to operate in a way that's above themselves, in a way that honors you and also honors the people they serve. Today, Lord, we determine that we will operate in peace, walk in love, walk in joy, knowing that your blessing upon us is the most important commodity we can possibly have. And in the name of Jesus, I pray. Amen.
Welcome to this meeting of the Dallas County Commissioners Court. We'll be considering items on our official agenda, then we will recess for a briefing work session, and we'll hear from registered speakers. As we take up redistricting, we will hear from those registered speakers before the final vote on redistricting. The court will then convene in closed session to consider matters as allowed by law. I want to echo the words the minister today, that we will work in peace in this court today. And we will have order at all times in this court. We have 4 resolutions this morning. The first 3 are from Commissioner Garcia.
Thank you, Josh. Colleagues, members of the audience. Is the SEMA group here today? Would you please come forward to the mic? Thank you. The resolution reads as follows. Whereas SEMA stands for Siempre Ir Más Alto, which translates to always reach higher, which is the goal of the families involved in the group, to reach their dream, raise healthy and productive families, and be involved in the community to make it better. And whereas it started with only 8 students, but soon 100 families were participating in the program, and which is made up of about 40 children now, from ages 3 to 17, that perform in different community festivals, churches, senior centers, parades in several cities throughout Dallas County. And whereas Sylvia Barra, the founder of the group, started SEMA in February of 2005 as a response to a group of friends' desire to get their children involved through dance in their native Mexican culture. And SEMA Ballet Folklorico has approximately 70 presentations a year, performing at the Colinas Country Club, Central Park Recreation Center, the Texas Stadium, celebrations of El Cinco de Mayo, Dallas Market Hall, to name a few. And of course, the families participated in this group believe in being active in the community and keeping their children involved in a healthy activity like dancing, with the goal of enhancing their personal, physical, and cultural development. The Ballet Folklorico SEMA has received recognition from many organizations, including Univision Radio, the City of Irving as the best show and best non-commercial float for their participation in the 4th of July parade. Cima Ballet Folklorico encouraged their students to reach their goals, instigating them a good work ethic and teaches them to give the best of themselves in every performance. So now, therefore, be resolved that the Dallas County Commission of Sport officially wishes to honor this organization for the years they have worked with the children of the community being involved in dancing and learning about their culture. So moved.
All those in favor?
And
Motion carries unanimously.
somebody, Ms. Barbara, if somebody wants to speak. Thank you. Thank you. We're honored to have you all here. Keep up the good work. Josh, I met the SEMA group at a function in Irving, and I was impressed not only by, their energy, the beautiful dances they perform. So it's for me a big honor to have you all here. Miss Barbara, keep up the good work. And guys, keep dancing, okay? So it's good. Thank you.
Thank you, President.
The second resolution is, a resolution recognizing the work of Terry Moore. The district attorney's office is more, and there we have a full report today. Terry, thank you for being here. Colleagues, it's my honor to recognize Ms. Terry Moore. Is a native of Cleveland, Texas. She earned a Bachelor of Arts degree from Texas Christian University in Fort Worth in 1981 and a Juris Doctor degree from South Texas College of Law in Houston in 1986. Whereas Ms. Moore was licensed to practice law in the state of Texas in 1986 and is board certified by the Texas Board of Legal Specialization in Criminal Law. And whereas she began her legal career at the Tarrant County District Attorney's Office, where she served as an assistant district attorney from 1987 to 1997, and worked as an assistant U.S. attorney for the Northern District of Texas from 1997 to 2001, and was in private practice from 2001 to 2006. Whereas Ms. Moore was appointed as first assistant by the Dallas County District Attorney, Mr. Craig Watkins, and joined the office in January of 2007, and has proudly served the citizens of Dallas County as the first assistant at the District Attorney's Office from 2007 to 2001. And whereas during her tenure as the Dallas County District Attorney's Office, she was instrumental in creating and implementing a host of new programs, policies and procedures that greatly improve the criminal justice system, including but not limited to the international recognized Conviction Integrity Unit, the open file policy, the memo agreement for first-time not violent offenders, and putting a stop to accepting at large cases where suspects were never arrested, resulting in no justice for victims, and she sought justice and successfully prosecuted a 1986 high-profile capital murder case in which the defendant had been free for 21 years until DNA proved his guilt. And whereas, as her role as first assistant, she supervised approximately 250 attorneys. Yes, all of them are here. 70 investigators and more than 100 support staff. Now, therefore, it be resolved that the Dallas County Commission of Sport officially wants to recognize the accomplishments of Ms. Moore has made during her 4.5 years with the District Attorney's Office, and wishes her well in her future endeavors. Thank you and congratulations. I just forgot. I got some.
All those in favor? Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you, Madam President. Commissioners,
Excuse me, is that my time? Just a second, Good morning, Commissioners, and all the folks that do this. For those of you who don't know the history about Terry Moore and my existence as a district attorney in Dallas County when I got elected, there was only one person that I had in mind to be the first assistant. I didn't talk to anyone else but Terry Moore. She had ran for DA in 2002, the first time that I ran and lost that election, and she ran again in 2006. But unfortunately, Tarrant County was not ready to elect a Democrat, and fortunately, Dallas County was. And so I asked her to join me over at the district attorney's office here in Dallas, because I knew that we had to do a lot of things. Mainly one of those things was to change the culture of our criminal justice system in Dallas. The fact of the matter is that I was an outsider. I never prosecuted with the DA's office, and so I came in under a cloud of suspicion with a lot of the individuals that worked here and who supported the person that I beat that election. So I knew that it was going to be a fight to get those things in place that we needed to do to serve the citizens of Dallas County. And without a doubt, we've had the opportunity to do that for 4 years. 4 years, what we've done is increase the crime rate, increase the conviction rate. We convict guilty in Dallas County now. What we've done is free the innocent. We free people that don't commit crimes in Dallas County. What we've done is brought credibility to the criminal justice system in Dallas County, and not just Dallas County, for the state and for this country. You guys, don't really understand the significance of what Terry Moore has done for us here in Dallas County, all the way from Tarrant County. She still lives in Tarrant County. The significance of what has happened here. The legacy of our criminal justice system for this country has been deadlocked in stone because of Terry Moore. We defined what it means to be a prosecutor. We convict the guilty and free the innocent. We're not about conviction rates. We're about justice. And so some people have a hard time understanding that. But I had a helpmate, a person that stood behind me and gave me the encouragement, no matter how difficult it was, no matter the criticism or what people thought, to keep going forward, to keep pushing this ball forward. We've done that for 4 years. And because of Terry Moore, we will continue to do that. Because we've done that, the DA's office is forever changed. So I want to personally say thank you. One of our exonerees, a lot of folks think these exonerees are just about DNA. It's not. Christopher Scott is one of those people that didn't have DNA. He was exonerated. He did
13 years in prison for a crime I didn't commit. Terry Moore and Mr. Mike Well helped me get my life back together again. I was kind of like home the first time being in Dallas County, and I was proud to say that we losing a good person in the seat. And I think Craig Walker will do an exceptional job of putting somebody else in our place that's going to fulfill the need that we need in our justice system. Thank you.
Mr. Watson, got another resolution for this board members to. Was that all?
My phone was off, but let me say what I said to Dr. Garcia, and that is, thank you, Dr. Garcia, and thank you, County Judge and Commissioners, for giving me the distinct honor to serve the citizens of Dallas County. It is not often that a person gets a chance to make a contribution to their profession, and I feel like we've really done that in Dallas. We've made an indelible impression for the good on the criminal justice system, and I couldn't be more proud. Thank you.
Well, as the counterpart to that resolution, let me ask Michael Ware to step forward. And this resolution says that whereas Michael Ware was born in Temple, Texas, and raised in Fort Worth, he graduated with honors from the University of Texas in Austin with a bachelor's degree in philosophy. He earned a Juris Doctorate degree from the University of Houston Law School in 1983. And while at the University of Houston Law School. He was a research editor for the Houston Law Review and the Houston Law Review's Texas Rules of Evidence Handbook. Whereas he was licensed to practice law in the state of Texas in 1983 and was a clerk for the United States District Judge David O. Ballou, Jr. in Fort Worth, Texas from 1983 to 1984. And whereas he became board certified in criminal law in 1990 and began private practice specializing in criminal defense in 1984 and worked as a defense attorney from 1984 to 2007 and from 2003 to 2009, Mr. Ware was voted by his peers as a Texas super lawyer, and from 2006 to 2007, Michael Ware was an adjunct professor of Texas Wesleyan Law School with the Wesleyan Innocence Project. And whereas he was appointed as a Special Fields Bureau Chief by Dallas County District Attorney Craig Watkins and joined the office in July of 2007, where he proudly served the citizens of Dallas County as a Special Fields Bureau Chief at the District Attorney's Office from 2007 to 2011. And whereas in his role as a Special Field Bureau Chief, he supervised the Conviction Integrity Unit as well as the Appellate, Federal, Public Integrity, and Mental Health Divisions at the District Attorney's Office. And whereas his work as the head of the nation's first Conviction Integrity Unit garnered local, national, and international media attention, including a 6-part documentary television series called Dallas DNA that aired on the Investigation Discovery Channel in 2009. And whereas under his direction, the Conviction Integrity Unit's effort to review and reinvestigate more than 400 post-conviction claims of innocence have led to 15 exonerations of men who collectively spent 290 years in prison for crimes they did not commit. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Dallas County Commissioners Court officially wants to recognize the accomplishments of Mr. Ware and all he has made during his 4.5 years with the District Attorney's Office and wishes him well in future endeavors. I so move.
Second.
All those in favor?
Thank you, Mr. Commissioner. It's been the highest honor to have been a part of the Dallas County District Attorney's Office for the last 4 years, and I thank you for this recognition.
So Mike Ware's the smartest lawyer I know. And I'm sure that these 4 exonerees that are here today, we have Crystal Scott, Richard Miles, Keith Kern, and Paul Chapman. All of them should recognize the work that he's done. But what you don't realize is that when we convicted people that didn't commit crimes, we provide an opportunity for those real criminals to continue to commit crimes. So if there's anyone that doesn't understand this or can't wrap their minds around why we have a conviction integrity, think of it from this thing. When we make a mistake, and we know we made a mistake, we don't right those wrongs, then we allow those individuals who are truly criminals to continue to wreak havoc on the citizens of Dallas County that we have been elected to protect. I met a man yesterday that Mike represented. He recommended this person because the district attorney of Tarrant County refused to bring a prosecution against a police officer. And this police officer, Kevin White, which happened to have been his sister. He refused to submit it before the grand jury, so they called Mike Ware. Mike Ware did that. And so, what you all have to understand is that what we do and what we've done in this DA's office over the last 4 years is just not about the fact that we get to have our own TV show or that we get to be on the news all the time. It's about courage. And it takes courage to do these things. That go Mr. Wayne, that will really make a difference and push our criminal justice system forward where it should be. And so we have Mike Ware and Trevor to thank for that. I don't know if any of these men that have been exonerated want to say anything on their behalf. I
My name is Richard Miles, and the good book says that man's work will always produce fruit. We the Dallas Gun Reed, and we're the fruit that's produced by the hard work of Mike Ware and Terry Moore. I went into prison at the age of 19, did 15 years for murder and attempted murder. I was the first non-DNA release, but with the continuous work and efforts of Mike Ware and Terry Moore, I'm still moving forward. I can't explain to y'all the feelings and emotions that I went through being incarcerated. I can thank him for opening up the doors for me.
I'm Charles Shepard. I did 27 years of prison for crime I did. If it had not been for the period, the Terry Moore would come and Mr. Mike Ware, Mr. Terry Moore. I'd still be locked up. I wrote thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars in the 27 years that I've been incarcerated. Until Mr. Ware noticed one of the nuts and took an interest in me. I was still locked up. It's more, the charity that these two people have to fill this room 10 times. And if it had not been for it, I and the rest of the people, I would still be locked up. So I can't thank them enough for the work that they've done for me, Mr. Ware, Mr. Moore. God has just been blessing me. And I just want to say that. I want to thank this commission for the support that they've given the integrity. And just hopefully we can continue to do thank you. You're welcome. Without him, I wouldn't be standing right here. My name is Victor Thomas. I was the first one that they let out here in Dallas. And let me tell you, I had not one license, but I had 2 lives in 20 years, and my DNA was thrown away. Just so happened they didn't throw away the visa. Now, I'm not going to make no long speech, but I want y'all to understand. I would have never, ever got out. I wrote the judge a letter. And he said, this guy don't know he made a deal. My DNA was thrown away, y'all. I wasn't going to never get out. I was born and raised here at the house. So, when they took the DNA and they found out that it wasn't me, it helped not only me, but all these guys behind me. They was on the same prison that I was on. Even Pinchback, the one that just got out, he was there too. Most of all of us come from the same unit. That's what I want everybody to understand. That's just one unit, y'all. That's just one unit. But I did time with all of them. We were raised up little boys. I'm 52 years old. I didn't get out till I was 41. I don't even have no key. So I just want y'all to realize that if it's not for somebody, like Craig stepping up, we'll still be down there. Right. Because this went on and on and on. I got out in 201. And then they asked me, do you know some people that's innocent? They asked Chapman, do you know some people that's innocent? We was down there robbing for something we didn't do. I don't even know the person. They sent me to the prison place. I still don't know. They still ain't told me that she was sorry. But I forgave her. And we all have. So this is a hard thing to go through. I didn't raise none of my nephews, and I go on and on and on. I just want y'all to realize that we need this here in Dallas. We need it real bad. And I thank y'all for hearing me out.
Our last resolution today will be read by me. A resolution in honor of Leslie Ann Davis, who passed unexpectedly last week. Whereas Dallas County takes special notice when local residents impact county operations by their commitment, dedication, and participation in activities. Whereas Dallas resident Leslie Allen Davis was a frequent visitor to the weekly Dallas County Commissioners Court meetings, where he often signed up to address the court on local, national, and even international topics. Whereas Mr. Davis, often wearing a brightly colored shirt with a positive handwritten message across the front and back, possessed a gentle spirit, a bright smile, and a keen insight on the inner workings of local government. And whereas Mr. Davis was never disruptive, obeyed the court's rules of decorum, and always used his 3 minutes to express his concern for others. The recurring theme of his comments was love for God, for our fellow man, and for peace in warring nations. In his last appearance at Commissioners Court, Mr. Davis encouraged the members to work together and remember that if you do for others, God will do for you. And whereas Dallas County administration and employees were sad to learn of Mr. Davis's sudden passing and will greatly miss his presence and participation in our weekly court meetings, now therefore be it resolved that the Dallas County Commissioners Court has hereby acknowledged the passing of Leslie Allen Davis and offers our condolences to his family and friends. Be it further resolved that we encourage all public speakers to follow the example of Mr. Davis by surrounding your comments, whether affirmation or dissatisfaction, with leaders' actions in ways that edify and ultimately move local government towards a goal of better serving the people. And I move for its adoption.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And the motion passes unanimously.
The honor to serve for many years. I just, know that, while we hear about this because they're home often, sometimes, not in the bed, Mr. Davis was one of those people that I know well, 10 years. And, I couldn't go to his funeral yesterday, but I'm so glad that he brought this resolution forward. I think Rudolph Bush, the Dallas Morning News, sounded the best. You will never know, all of the life of Mr. Davis, but we know that. That's it.
We will now consider item 8 of the consent agenda. Is there a motion on the
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. We now consider orders 9 through 35 and consider A1 separately, as we have several registered speakers who want to address this court order.
I'll be opposed, 9 through 35.
I'll second that motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Mr. Rosswood, prepared to lay out A1. They want to hear about that before they, I think we should lay it out and have everyone speak.
Happy to do that, Chair. Commissioner's Court for the last 3 months has been working towards review and revision of the Justice and Peace House of Police. We've held, the court has held a series of 3 public hearings Tuesday morning during regular court, Tuesday evening, as well as Saturday morning. We try to provide as much opportunity for people to come down and provide their comments and suggestions. We've also had notices published in Aldea and the Dallas Morning News reports that in. We've also had notices and information available on the county's website intensive debate and discussion amongst the court as well as the public. I know counsel's here as well to answer any questions that the court might have or provide any other comment. I'm certainly here as well. Hopefully everything's set the stage now for final consideration of the matter.
You want, under Robert's rules, I'm going to move court order 81.
Second.
So we're going to discussion. All right.
Council, do we have anything we need from you before we open up the discussion? Because I've got 12 speakers. All right. Let's proceed right here from the speakers. You want to our first public speaker. Here, come forward. Before we get started on that, we're probably going to do this twice today, but if we're going to get some time, we'll need to have the bailiff read the rules for public speakers.
All Commissioners Court attendees are hereby advised that this meeting is conducted in accordance with the provisions of the Dallas County Code, Section 74-71. Visitors and registered speakers are to preserve order and decorum at all times. Personal, profane, or slanderous remarks are not appropriate and will not be allowed at any time during this public meeting. Any and all clauses are kept brief in observance of time constraints. Disruptive visitors and or registered speakers may be removed and are subject to the penalties provided in the State of Texas Penal Code, Sections 38.13, 42.01, and 42.05. Registered individual speakers are limited to a maximum of 3 minutes.
Go ahead and please state your name and your address as you start.
Before you do, get a motion to collectively suspend the rules because there's going to be more than 10 speakers at 3 minutes done.
Well, to the extent that the motion on the district that we passed earlier is not the fact what Commissioner Price has a motion, I'll second it. I'll suspend the rule of 30-minute time limit for the speakers. All those in favor? All right. So just your name and address and go ahead.
My name is Cassandra Gandara. I live at 939 Turtle Cove in Irving, Texas, 75060. I'm a 29-year-old lifelong resident of Dallas County, a practicing attorney, a member of LULAC 102, and more importantly, a concerned citizen. I come before the court today to urge you all to adopt a new map that would add a new Latino seat to the JP and Constable districts. Latinos are far underrepresented in the justice of peace and constable positions since the new census data reflects that we have increased and Latinos are now 38% of Dallas County population. However, at this time, Latinos only hold 2 justice of the peace, 2 out of 10 seats, which is only 20%. The Dallas County annual voter population decreased by over 198,000 between 2002 and 2010, a negative 20.2% growth rate, while Hispanic population grew by 243,000. Under the proposal, the Anglos would have 50% of the JP seats, African Americans 30%, and Latinos, who are the county's largest ethnic group, would have 20%, which we do not see as fair. The maps that LULAC proposes, that Dr. Garcia would propose, would allow one additional Latino opportunity seat to give the community 30% of the seats. We feel this is very important given that the Justice of the Peace courts are the people's courts. Justice of the Peace deal day to day with common code, and I strongly believe that the people in those positions should be people who are familiar with the same types of problems that the constituents face on a day-to-day basis. We must face the realities. People in Highland Park face different struggles than those south of I-30. That being said, given that the Hispanics are the largest growing population in North Texas, with 37% growth rate, we believe that the new districting lines for Justice of Peace and Constables should add an additional Latino seat. We believe that anything that does not add an additional Latino seat will be viewed by the Justice Department and will be challenged by the Justice Department because it violates the Voting Rights Act in that it should be one person, one vote, and we people. Thank you.
Ms. Candera, let me recognize while you talk about numerically in regards to the Hispanic population, and only 20% is VAP, what we call voting age population. 19 colors. Anyway, it's so a lot less than 30. That's number one. I mean, joining the district, voting age population is always a consideration. Let me just tell you, map A1 does in fact meet the text under the Voting Rights Act, both sections 2 and 5. That's good. I didn't really go.
If I may respond? While we might only be 19% of the voting age, it's not only the voting age that goes towards the rest of these courts, and have to deal with constables on a day-to-day basis. So I agree we are only 19% of the voting age population, but we are not only 19% of the population, and we need to be representing the entire population, not only the voting age.
The next speaker is Mr. Eladio Martinez.
Good morning. My name is Leonard.
Eladio Martinez is in the back.
Yeah, you may be on here, but you're not the next.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's hard to hear back there.
No, no problem.
Sorry.
Thank you.
I thought you mispronounced my
Thank you for having me here today. My name is Eladio Martinez. I reside at 109 North Willamette, in 109 North Willamette Avenue in North Oak Cliff. I do know some of you on the board, and I'm very concerned about this redistricting. I'm here to support Elba Garcia, Dr. Garcia, and I think the Hispanic population is very high at this point, and in the future it's going to be even higher. The country, the minority is the largest. North Texas, you can see, is one of the largest. Also, that if you was to go into one of the DISD schools, you would see all the kids, most of them are all minority and Hispanic. And, also, you know, if you have a business, you see where all the money is coming from, minorities, and that's the Hispanic minority. But I'm here today to support Elba Garcia's proposition for you seat on the Justice of the Peace. And the only way that we're going to get this is by the Dallas County Board voting to help her accomplish this, okay? And the Hispanics voted for you on the board. Now is their time to get some representation from you on the board, okay? But it's not going to be anytime soon. The majority Hispanic is growing. As I said a while ago, it's growing and it keeps growing. It's not going to stop. But we do need another position as Justice of the Peace. And I think Elba Garcia, Dr. Garcia, has come up with a good plan. Okay. Now, if we can only vote on this today, get started, it would be a good starting point. And I'm talking about Pleasant Grove too. I don't want to leave Pleasant Grove out. You know, they seem like the stepchild in Dallas County where they don't get any kind of representation over there, but they do need some representation in Pleasant Grove for a new seat. And for this reason, I'm here, and I like to see the proposition passed, and hopefully it's going to get done today. Thank you. I appreciate your listening to me today. Thank you very much.
Michael, come on up. You're next.
Standing room only section. Good morning. My name is Mike Lovello. I reside at 616 Chrysler Ave in Dallas, 75223. Here to speak to you today is a citizen in a neighborhood of 70% Hispanic population, and as a member of LULAC. We hear children today talking about new math, but I happen to know that math hasn't changed this much to mean that 38% of the population should only receive 2 justices of the peace courts in a system that provides 10. There's been a map presented that would expand District 5, which happens to be where I live, and would be able to include another court to represent our Hispanic population. Through Dallas County, the Hispanic population has grown at a rate of 37% since 2000. I do not feel that they are represented properly in the county. It's taken us a long time to make changes in the city. I'm asking you to reconsider the proposed map to give us another seat in District 5. Thank you.
Mr. Richard Perez, please. I should say Honorable Councilman Perez. All right.
Thank you, Commissioners. Good morning. My name is Richard Perez. I live at 205 South Copperhill Road. Lived in Copperhill since '78. When I first moved to Copperhill, there was only 15,000 people living in this 1 square mile. Today, we've got 5,005 people living there, and 98% are Hispanic. I'm here to ask the Commission to think about the population and representation that we need. The map that's being proposed would have no Latino representation. Now there's only 38% of the population of Dallas County. We would get 2 out of 10 to take these. To my understanding, this is fair ordinance to comply with the Bible, with the voting rights. I ask that you would consider the alternative map and Ms. Garcia proposed that would add a third JP district, which is 5. By making it bigger and providing fair representation, it would provide an increase at least 1 JP. I appreciate your time and thank you for having me here.
Thank you, Councilman. Our next speaker is Luis Veloso.
Good morning. Luis Veloso, 5911 Ross Avenue, Dallas, Texas, 75206. I come here not with a plea, but I come here with a reminder instead. A reminder that this government was founded by the people and for the people. A government that our representatives must be our voice when we do not have the power to use it. As such, I ask that a new Justice of the Peace be added to represent the growing Latino population in Dallas. Well, yes, it is true that only 19% of the Latino population can vote. It is also true that in those 10 years, an even higher population of Latinos will be able to vote. We cannot ignore those people. We have to give them a voice. As such, it is not only our duty, but an obligation that we add the third Justice of the Peace that will be able to represent those Latinos. The Latino population in Dallas is growing at an immense rate. We can no longer ignore them. We can no longer avoid the fact that they will be the majorities. They need representation. They need somebody that will understand not only their problems, but the lives that they live day to day. As such, I hope that you reconsider the redistricting and that you are able to justify your actions. Thank you.
Mr. Samuel Cortez, please.
Good morning, I'm Samuel Cortez, and I reside at 4312 Perry Court in Grand Prairie. And I'm asking for at least 3 commissioners to support a redistricting plan that is fair to Hispanics. Here are the Census Department's population numbers in case you don't have them in the front of your memory. whites in Dallas County are 53.5%, Hispanics 38.3%, blacks 22.3%. 38.3% of the people in Dallas County are Hispanic. How can you, in good conscience, vote for any plan that would give Hispanics only 20% of the JP and constable positions? That would be half of what should be the correct ratio, keeping in mind that the representation is related to the number of voting age, but also, as the Constitution says, that every person, not just every citizen, is entitled to protection of the law. We're growing at a fast pace. In the past decade, the Hispanic population grew at the rate of 37%, and that is going to continue. At least one more JP position should be created in a Hispanic area. To do less would be to force Hispanics to perhaps have to sue in court for remedies that you have the power to grant right now without delaying justice and without spending legal fees attempting to defend what might be an unjust plan. I ask you to show that you are fair and are responsible with our tax dollars, and urge you to give fair representation to all groups, including Hispanics. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Mr. Ralph Costco.
Good morning, Ralph Castro, 920 South Buckner Boulevard, Dallas, Texas, in the heart of Pleasant Grove. So yes, Mr. Martinez, Pleasant Grove is here. I'd like to thank y'all for giving us the first ever county commissioner representing Pleasant Grove. I'd like to echo what my fellow speakers have just said. I'm here today to ask you again for one more. We need a JP court in Pleasant Grove. Pleasant Grove is 175,000 people strong. We have 2 zip code areas, 75217, 75227. But yet we're having to drive 30 minutes away for the services that we need at a JP's court. We're having to stand in line just for a traffic ticket 3 to 4 hours with all the windows being filled. We only have one window that's allocated to Spanish speakers only. They're in line for up to 4 hours. We need a JP court in Pleasant Grove. I ask you to give us that one more time and to support Dr. Garcia's amended map. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Mr. Hector Flores.
Shortcut, Judge. Good morning. Well, Judge and Commissioners, thank you for listening to us today. I'd like to deal everything that's been said thus far, but I do have some comments that I'd like to make myself to the court, and that's that we waited 100 years to have somebody like Dr. Garcia be on this court. So I think sometimes democracy and progress is slow and evolutionary. But I know that the population explosion of our community is not such. It is just has grown by leaps and bounds, particularly the last 20 years. I've been in Dallas 30 years. I live at 1030 Tracy in Duncanville, zip code 75137. And so I've seen this growth here. But just with that growth also comes representation. We cannot have a democracy that does not represent us. And obviously Hispanics are underrepresented. If you look to my right and look to my left, I see nobody that represents me liberally. And so I think there's a lot of work to be done. But with that is political representation that gets you employment and other things and services for our community. You heard it said just a minute ago by Ralph Castro about the need to have a JP in Pleasant Grove. And you know that the city council lines are also divided like 3 or 4 people that represent them. So one person, one vote is something that is very important to the cornerstone of this democracy. But we think that the current JP plan as drawn does not adequately represent us. I think with the growth of 38% or more of the county, that we should have that other vote as proposed by Dr. Garcia. Not including this JP opportunity district could jeopardize perhaps the map that has been presented before. And LULAC most certainly will be looking at all of our options in terms of what other steps we might take. But we prefer that perhaps in the wisdom of the court that you would allow this other district to be developed. We have 2 JP districts, but we think our demographics would dictate that we have more representation. I want to thank you for the clear, intelligent deliberation for this issue, and I think we can all win by including another district. Thank you so very much for listening to me today.
Did you mean another district or another place? Another district or no, you said another district.
I want another JP seat that has been proposed by Dr. Garcia.
Making the record clear.
Yeah.
Place.
Place, well.
There's a difference.
Yeah, and clarify that.
I think you've heard the sentiment of our community. I think the clamoring here is we want to hold you guys accountable to do the right thing. And we thank you very much for that.
Thank you. Our next speaker is
the Deputy State Director for the Elderly, and also the Homeless Plans Special Supervisor Senate Teamwork Comments on the West Mission Program. I sent you a letter day before yesterday to each one of you, and at least one response. But I felt that I needed to be here. I was here to your hearings on the Commissioner's District some time ago. I'd like to point out that we support everything that everybody else has suggested. But more importantly, to remind you that if you adopt the plan that is protecting the status quo, as has been mentioned by one commission, that you will be violating the Civil Rights Act of 1964, you will be violating the spirit of the law, and the intent for which the hearings were held. The hearings were held, and it's supposed to be held by law every 10 years. So you will have an opportunity to do what's right, to come up with parity, come up with equal representation for another 10 years. We've been blessed with Commissioner John Wiley Price to serve for about 30 years. He's done a great job in representing the minority. And now we're blessed with Dr. Garcia. Take advantage of this opportunity in support of the map that would represent the increase or the potential of increasing not only the justice of the peace, but the constable. I want to remind you that nearby, you know what I'm talking about, right? They got mentioned where I live, where they try to insist 4 times on an ordinance over there that every time the court ruled it unconstitutional, and that cost that city something like $7 million. This can happen here if you choose to ignore what the schemes are all about and the fact that the population has increased as much as it has, and you continue to then stay with the number that you have now, you will be violating the spirit of the law and certainly the act itself. So I hope you keep that in mind, and thank you for all the hard work that you all do and for the criticism you get. Sometimes you don't get enough thanks for the great job you do. Thank you.
Mr. Sobrano, I did answer you.
Yes.
Okay. I gave you the history.
Yes.
And there are at least 2 members of this court who were here 10 years ago when there was no Hispanic representation at all. Given that population, we created a district with equity. If you will recall, as I said in my response to you, the African Americans at that time had 3 JPs and 2 constables. And they had, in fact, voted and acquired Precinct 7. The majority of this court unanimously went from 8 to 5. At that particular time, the African American community lost a JP and a constable. And it was told that we had retrogressed under both sections 2 and 5 of the Voting Rights Act. Of course, this court was sued, and this court prevailed. One of the things that we recognize in JPs and constables is a different working relationship than commissioners in terms of how we create those districts. As you understand, the Constitution says we shall have 4, no fewer than 4, but no more than 8. Dallas County had 8.
I'd like to respond to one commissioner that you've done a great job in terms of standing up for employees. Like we think right now, we sit here, but LS, because of what he stood for, that what is being proposed by you is a status quo. And that doesn't cut it. We need to move forward. To just because it was done 10 years ago when the population was different, and now that it has increased, I would think that you as a minority would be the first one to say, hey, let's do it. LULAC and the NAACP have a memorandum of agreement to work together on common causes. This is one of those times that I think that you can be in compliance with the law and in the spirit of the law, and to ensure that people have a better chance. Any more questions? Thank you.
Mr. Little.
Good morning. My name is Mayor Luna, 1426 East Whitehall, that is Texas 75216. My home which I have resided in for approximately 15 years. To be quite honest with you, I'm kind of new to the concept of redistricting. This is the first time that I ever participated in such matters. I'm more of an advocate and an activist, but my work as an activist constitutes fighting for justice and equity and fair representation, which seems to be what redistricting encompasses as well. As I say, I'm not an expert, but I know fair representation. And I know that just growing up in the place that I grew up in, fair representation was not evident just by the leadership that we saw. As a future teacher, I hope to be working in the inner cities. And one thing that I hope to be able to provide my students is that whenever they're in the classroom and I talk to them about leadership positions, I can reference people who are currently in those leadership positions, something that I could not do when I was a grade school child or student. The only way that can happen is if we have more fair representation today. We cannot wait another decade to see what demographics we provide to see. Hopefully, by then we get representation based on the we have an electoral unit based on the demographics that we constitute. The JP and the constables are going to be our voice, but how can they be our voice if they are not as closely tied with our culture, if they don't understand our community as well as someone who has lived there, who has been there with us in our neighborhoods their lifetime. So with that said, I hope that you are considering an alternative map that would correlate the demographics of the state of Dallas.
Mr. Peters, those are your words.
Good morning, commissioners, citizens of County Dallas. I read you this morning, and you heard from people this morning regarding the redistricting and the mapping. And I'm just here to thank you for the opportunity to speak to you this morning. But I believe that we're out here for a common cause, and that cause is for you, our elected officials, to really consider the population when you're looking at redistricting for a place for JP. I also want to remind you that the constituents, we, your people, we're the ones that are speaking to you this morning. And I ask you just for one thing, to hear our voices, hear our plea. You know, from 2000 to 2010, there was a growth of 36% of the Hispanic population, and we're underrepresented. 2 judges is not sufficient for the whole entire county. We have many, many Hispanics throughout the whole county and the city of Dallas. we're underrepresented in the JP positions especially, and in constables. And while I agree with you, Mr. Price, that you are underrepresented by being taken down some of your JPs and constables, well, we're in that position right now. We need representation as well. And the numbers are just not right. 20% is not sufficient. And we're talking about the Voting Rights Act that was brought to Texas, about Spanish language speakers and minorities. Well, if you approve the map the way it looks right now, that's not going to reflect what we have today. It's not going to reflect justice, and you will be challenged because it's not lawful. The Commissioners Court today, we need to urge you to accept and consider the map that Dr. Garcia has provided. It reflects our community. It reflects the county. She diligently prepared this in fairness, with census in hand, and these redistricting lines need to be properly reflect our community. It's not we're asking for a favor. We're asking to do what's right. You know, the Latinos are not represented correctly throughout the county. And I thank God for Dr. Garcia, who is a good friend. And I'm not talking about we sit down at dinner. We advocate the community. We work together. I was ill last summer, and yet with a new dean, I said, call me, I will help you. I will help you get elected. But it's not just of getting people elected, it's by being represented properly. But anyway, I just want to thank everybody. I want to thank you for listening. And I want to thank everybody for your contributions you've done so far. And I urge you to put your heart to your hand and look at these numbers and do what is right for the community and for the county of Dallas. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Mr. Bill.
May I approach the bench and give you a map? Absolutely. How do I handle that? Just pass them down. Thank you.
Bill, please remember to say your name.
My name is Bill Benson. I live at 6717 Cliffwood, Dallas, Texas, 75237. I am here representing only myself. I am a recently retired DISD teacher who for the last 4 months has been very, very involved in the Dallas City Council redistricting process as a private citizen. My fixation is gerrymandering. If you go to Google and you put in the word Dallas and gerrymander, I've been the first hit for several years. So you'll find out that is my fixation. And so I went to the Dallas City Council because I live in Oak Cliff. I want to draw those lines straight, as straight as is possible. That's what we need. We need straight lines. And when you draw straight lines, you get the kind of map I just now gave you. Now, this is only a proposed map. This map is already 7 days old, and I've changed it several times since then. So we're constantly improving it. So I've got to have it in by the end of the week. But I want to point out the characteristics of this map. First off, and I didn't write it on here, right now, the Dallas City Council districts have an average perimeter of 43.5 miles. That's the distance around each city council district on average. And that's very long. The map I just gave you, I've cut it down to 31 miles. I have eliminated 12 miles of district boundaries. Now, I don't know how many of you have ever attended a redistricting hearing, but what is the most common thing people say? Don't break up my neighborhood. So, though that's not an issue here in the JP Court issue, eliminate boundaries is the best way to meet that demand of the public. So, basically, that's what I have done with these districts in front of you. There are 14 districts in the city of Dallas, and I want to emphasize that 5 of those districts have an adult voting age population that is Hispanic and that is averaging over 60%. District 1 on my map, which is basically the same as the current District 1, is 61.97%. That's adult voting age. That is not the Hispanic percentage. The percentage is actually close to 70%, 69 something. District 2, 59.4. District 3, 63.88%. District 6 on this map, which is 63.57 adult voting age. Now, District 7 is a totally new district in Pleasant Grove, the southern part south of Bruton Road, and it is 61.98% adult voting age. Now, I forgot to mention District 2. District 2 above is 59, is the northern half of Pleasant Grove. But I just want to emphasize, your JP map as it currently exists does not represent Dallas County. Dr. Garcia's proposal is right on target. It needs to go that direction.
Thank you. You're very welcome. All right.
While they testified and the map will become part of the record, but the map refers to these are council districts. And you take in consideration of the county, you get a whole different approach. These are council districts. The map just directs you to go ahead.
Our next speaker is Peter Johnson. Our next speaker is Mr. Omar.
Hi, my name is Omar Narvaez and I reside at 9309 Lindbrook Drive, Dallas, Texas 75228. And I'm here on behalf of Stonewall Democrats of Dallas. We're the largest LGBT club in Dallas County, representing 400 plus members. We are here to ask today that the court relook at the JP and Constable maps. According to the current map, Latinos will be underrepresented. We waited until 2009 to get a commissioner on this county seat, on this county court, and we're thrilled that we have that representation. Latinos account for 38% of the county's population. However, we're only, with the current map, represented by 2 of 10 JP districts, or JP places. There are several alternative maps that would add a third JP place to Precinct 5 by making it bigger and providing better representation. Our organization is not a Latino organization. We are based on sexual orientation, gender expression, and gender identity. However, we feel wholeheartedly when we see another community or another group that's asking for help or is seeking better representation, that we stand with our fellow brothers and sisters, because in it, we're all in this together to make for the better good and the common good. And we wholeheartedly support the map that is being presented, the amended map that's being presented by Dr. Elba Garcia, and we hope that you'll really look at that and consider it. Over 1 million Latino youth in this country are turning 18 every year, and it's not time for us to wait another 10 years. Let's do what's right. This court has done so much in this year since we got a new court, and we are very excited about it and thrilled by it, and I know that this court will really consider and hopefully do the right thing going forward. Again, I'd like to thank you all for all of your work that you do on this court. I heard somebody earlier say that you will usually get a lot more negative than you get positive, and I want to thank you all for all the positive things you have done, and hope that you'll really consider Dr. Elba Garcia's amended map. Thank you very much.
Omar, just let me just so the record will be real clear. Members of this court voted for this District 4 to be as it was in the last election.
Correct.
In fact, I think in the authorship, we took a number of individuals out of another district to ensure that this kind of representation would be there.
Right.
So it had nothing to do with the presentation on this court. It has everything to do, with activism and registering to vote. Look at Dr. Garcia's numbers, and that's one of the things that I continue to say about the amendment that we put forward. Dr. Garcia's numbers were really about the African American community.
I'm sorry, say that again?
Well, it was about the African American community. Her vote, if you look at both of the Democratic primary and you look overall, it was a combination, coalition vote. But you look, primary vote was African American. And so it wasn't because we didn't create the opportunity. It was the activism or the lack of activism in this community for two election cycles.
Correct.
I just want the record to be real clear.
No, absolutely, and we totally agree with the map that was created to get us there. Sadly, it took us till 2009 to make it happen, but we know that it happened when it did, and we thank you all for that, for getting that map then. But we're hoping that we don't have to wait longer to get this next one done. And we know that the time is now. I don't want to wait till 2020 if we can help it, but if we have to, I'll still be here going for it then. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I believe when you look at this together, I think that's our last I've heard from the speakers.
But I do want to hear from my attorney. Is there any concerns, Mr. Hebert, with anything that you've heard with regards to Section 2 and Section 5 of the Voting Rights Act with the A1 map that is before this court and its compliance?
No, there isn't.
Keep your name and
My name is Gerald Hebert. I'm legal counsel to the Commissioner's Court with respect to redistricting. And I've listened today. I have several observations. If you'd like, I'll share them with you. They do relate to the question. And I guess I'd also like to hear from Dr. Garcia, since it's her map, and I may have further comments. But I would say that, as Mr. Lesberg said, you held 3 public hearings with regard to this. I commend Dr. Garcia. You not only posted the notice of those public hearings on your website, your own website, but you send email blasts out to people. I just think it's unfortunate that we're at literally the 11th hour here and ready to adopt a map, and suddenly, a new map or new ideas arise. There's no doubt that Latinos, have grown substantially in Dallas County over the last decade. But the fact is that there are many Latinos of voting age population who are not eligible to vote. While they may constitute nearly 40% of the voting age population, they are only 19% of the citizen voting age population. And so, we can look at proportionality in a number of different ways, but I think we have to take into account the reality of who actually is eligible to cast these votes when we draw maps, because that's what the Justice Department looks at. They look at whether districts are effective for minority voters, and they look at citizen voting age population figures. I will say that I do believe that there's actually 2 districts in which Latinos can elect candidates of their choice to Justice of the Peace districts 4 and 5. And the District 4, under the Justice of the Peace map that is proposed, is largely resembles in a way Dr. Garcia's district, which is a coalition district, and it seems to me that if Latinos form that same kind of coalition in another election, they would enjoy an effective opportunity to elect a candidate as they did with Dr. Garcia. I would note that District 4-2 is a rapidly growing population district. It will continue to grow. The census is obsolete the day after it is taken because people have died, people have been born, people are moving out, people are moving in, and I suspect District 4 is even higher in its minority percentage today. I think that if you are going to vote today on A1, the proposed map, and adopt that map, it seems to me that you could continue to study the administration of justice within the county, as you have, I think, responsibility to do, and see how the caseloads emerge under the new map, see what the election results happen under the new map, and then make a judgment about whether you want to revisit this issue at some point down the road. District 5 is a district that was effective for Latinos before. It remains effective for Latinos now. District 4, in my judgment, also supplies an effective opportunity. So I think that for all of those reasons, I feel very comfortable telling you that the map that we proposed and that you had 3 public hearings about is a map that complies fully with the Voting Rights Act. And frankly, I would be a little concerned about changing to a map solely based on considerations of race or ethnicity, because they raise potential problems under the Shaw v. Reno doctrine and Johnson v. Miller doctrine. So that's, I guess, my response to the public comments that were made today.
Just to kind of follow up on that, because you did hit on some points, Jerry, that I was going to bring up with regards to, the Hispanic population is more dispersed throughout Dallas County. If you look at Precinct 5, it's basically 277,841 Hispanics out of a total population of 905,940. So it's about 30% of the population, 69.4% is dispersed throughout the county. But you're right. In looking at a Hispanic district, we look at the electability of a Hispanic candidate. And so you've addressed that. I do want to point out, too, that with regards to when we did the redistricting last time, we set up District 3 with 3 justices of the peace in order to be able to create and make that minority opportunity district for the Hispanic district. In this election, in this redistricting cycle, what we're doing is eliminating one of those JPs. And I say that because if you look at the current Precinct 5 under the proposed map, I guess this is under the amended map. I'm looking at your data sheet here, but the total population is going to be 414,488. That is, and it's the lowest population of any JP precinct, really constable precinct in the county. In District 2, it's 114,468 more people in District 2. In District 3, where we're actually taking away a JP, District 3 is 105,746 more population than District 5. So I look at it as a workload issue also when we get down to after you've done the demographics such as the duplicators, then we look at it as a workload issue. And clearly, when you have the lowest population, putting 3 JPs in that district, when already, if you look at the workload statistics of District 5, the current District 5, you can see that they rank on the lower end of the workload activity of the courts. So I just want to put that on the record as why I'm going to support the proposed map.
Thank you, Commissioner. You're correct. And as you would remember from the very first meeting we had, public hearing, District 5 was nearly 40% underpopulated in comparison to the ideal. One of our goals was to kind of bring more equality of population to the districts and at the same time look carefully at workloads as we go forward.
Thank you. I think Commissioner Cantrell makes a good point about the workload issue. Another thing that I bring up, that this, our public hearings all revolved around Map 1, Exhibit A, and that's what we're voting on today. And now at not the 11th hour, I wasn't blindsided today as I was on the redistricting with the commissioners. That was right. We had a new map right as the vote was being made, which was very unfair. However, in this situation, I wasn't blindsided. Commissioner Garcia has very good points, and she made a point of calling me and talking to me about it over the weekend. And certainly, I think that, and I appreciate that. However, I think this court now and in the future must be cognizant of the fact that when we have public hearings, we need to have public hearings about a map that this court intends to proceed with. Not a new map, even if it's brought up and posted correctly, as this was. Nevertheless, the public didn't have a chance to come for comment until today. And that's not the intention of public hearings. Public hearings, especially in the case of the Commissioner's Court redistricting, that was evidently a map that was never intended to be adopted. And a new map was introduced at the last minute. This is unfortunate that there wasn't more time to discuss this. I think that the points that the audience has made are very well taken. I commend Commissioner Garcia on bringing this up. However, we have to deal with what is. right now. And we can't project what we want to see and what we expect to see in the future. We have to deal with what is today. And so, Mr. Heber, I think you've made very good points today, and I am going to have to vote with A1 as it's proposed.
Thank you, Commissioner Dickey. I would say that, and I too commend Dr. Garcia for coming up with a concept here. And I do think that as we go forward, it may be worthwhile to examine future data on caseloads and population changes and so on. And perhaps somewhere down the road there'll be a revisiting of this issue. There may be, and your point is very well taken about the public hearings, because there may be, if you had a public hearing next week, there may be 20 people who would say the opposite of what was said today. We don't know. That's the purpose, as you say, of public hearings. So that's why I think as we go forward, and maybe in the future, if you consider this and we have public hearings, there'll be opportunities for everybody to come in with whatever proposals are out there so they can comment on a specific map and say that line shouldn't be there or that line should be there.
Jerry, unlike the commissioner's districts with regards to JPs and constable, those are basically what we call workload districts. And as such, we're not wedded to the 10-year census in terms of redrawing.
That's correct. And I think even with regard to, as a result of the congressional case out of Texas in 2003, when there was a redistricting of congressional boundaries, it used to be a once-a-decade activity. It suddenly become, for election law lawyers like me, it's become every couple of years we look at another redistricting plan. So,
yeah, and first of all, I want to thank everyone that took the time to be here today expressing their voice. I think that the Latino community voices and sentiments were here today. I have the honor, to represent Dallas County into this court, and that is something that I take very seriously. When people come and tell me over and over again, we need to continue the fight for representation. We need to continue that fight for justice that give us the opportunity to have our voices being heard. And I think that's what we have today. And I want to thank also my colleagues and MPs, for taking my recommendation and the amended map that I'm presenting today. And let me tell you why. Not only because I was asked, to look into adding a justice of the peace seat in District 5, but also because I also went to the courthouse and I looked at those lines and I started wondering about not only representation, but time that people spend in our courts waiting because we don't have enough people, and I'm definitely not going to blame it on the district. I know that there's some financial concerns there, but also, it made me think that if we could create that map that would increase not only the Latino seats, but will equalize, the workload, where we'll have a winner. And that's what I tried to do here in the map that, the amended map that I'm, presenting, today. Not only does it allow, 3 Latino seats under the District 5, but also one of the things that I really wanted to do is to alter, the rest of the county representation. Under the map that I'm proposing, District 4, District 3, District 2, and District 1 continue to have the current number of JPs that we have today. What my map does is expands geographically, District 5, and adds Pleasant Grove. That we hear during the public hearings. Didn't we hear that Pleasant Grove wanted to be together? That for so long it has been split among different districts. Didn't we hear from the neighborhoods from Little Elm, Forest Hill, Lakewood, and M Street that they wanted to be together? Well, guess what? The more I look at this map, the more I like it. We did exactly that. We put those communities together into the District 3, which allows them to continue to be together and don't be disenfranchised when we move under the proposed map into District 5. It allows the Republican representation to continue to stay together in District 3. And I think that the expansion geographically of District 5 with time would allow us to have the workload that we definitely need to create that seat. I think in the proposed map, we keep the communities of interest together, and in this case, not only do we increase the number of seats, but we do not overreach when it comes to population, complies with federal and state constitutional requirements. And colleagues, I do understand that the political will might not be here today because they are really mad, but I do believe that I have the responsibility to listen to people. You know, I do believe that I have the responsibility to listen to the Latino community, and I wanted to tell you that I listen, that your voices were heard, and that I will continue to work with my colleagues to be sure that that voice is heard. And at this point, I just think it's about fairness. And adding another Latino seat right now is the right thing to do. I'm just going to finish by saying that I will definitely, I listened to what you say, our counsel, and I will definitely start tracking some of the case loads. I understand that a lot of the evictions and some of the cases that are filed in JPs have to be filed in the districts where they come from, which will make sense. You know that a lot of these cases that are in Latino areas go into District 1 and District 2. Latino community will continue to grow exponentially, and the district that I presented today, I believe is the area where most of the growth will be. So 38% right now is low number. So with that, colleagues, I'm going to put on the record that I will not be voting for the proposed plan. I will be voting for it. I do make a substitution for the amended map to be presented as part of it. Thank you.
I would just say that as when I was in the Justice Department reviewing maps coming from places like Dallas County, I would often be presented with several different maps, a number of which comply with the Voting Rights Act. It's not to say one size fits all or that any particular map is in compliance and there are no others. I do think that the map that I prepared with your input and the public's input up to now does follow the criteria that you adopted when we first started this process and fully meets all state and federal
If no further comments, I'll call the question.
Yeah, first of all, Dr. Garcia, oh, listen, you
To
said.
put it on the record.
Right. So she made a motion. Second, and that's right. Second, that's what I said.
So when I call the
So we're going
question.
to call a question on A1.
On A1. All those in favor of A1?
Aye.
All those opposed?
No.
No. The ayes have it, show Dr. Garcia as opposed. That takes us to our briefing, Mr.
Judge, my name has been left off of the speakers list again for the second time. I registered yesterday.
Ma'am, we're doing two speakers. There'll be another speakers after the briefing.
Okay.
And it's not happening yet.
Okay, thank you. I don't have a speaker.
Reconvene the public session and recess for its briefing session to consider items to be considered in the subsequent session. Mr. Martin, please.
Morning, Judge Commissioner. The first item on our briefing agenda is the presentation by the Dallas County Child Welfare Board. Ms. Jessica Lee and Pat Crawford are here. Ms. Rockwell?
My name is Jessica Dixon Weaver. I'm the chair of the Dallas County Child Welfare Board. And this is Pat Walker, and she's also a member of the board. We're here today to request 2 amendments to our bylaws. The first is the increase in the child welfare board size. I distributed now or given the distribution of a memo to you all to explain why we're asking for an increase in the board size. Currently, we are comprised of 7 members, and the reason we're seeking an increase in our board size is because we have a large number of tasks to do with just 7 members. There are 6 primary activities listed in our bylaws for board members, and attached to the memorandum is a proposed amended bylaws, and the activities of the board are included on the first page, 1 through 6. And if you'll note, numbers 2, 3, and 4 are fairly expansive. We're required to review and monitor existing programs to ensure that abused and neglected children and their families are adequately served. We're also required to assist the program administrators at CPS in obtaining community involvement and resources to sustain current programs as well as develop new initiatives. And number 4 lists that we should formulate goals and objectives for the board in conjunction with the Commissioners Court and evaluate progress in achieving these goals and objectives at the county, state, and federal level. In addition to that, there's activities 1, 5, and 6, which mostly deal with the budgetary process as far as the board working with CPS in order to maintain adequate funding for child protective services. In addition to those 6 activities, the Texas Council of Child Welfare Boards also provides us a long list of responsibilities. And I took this from the operations manual of the County Child Welfare Boards, listed on page 1 of the memorandum. And if you'll note, the first bullet point really covers most of the funding issues that we deal with, but the following bullet points, including conducting a needs assessment for the children in the county, formulating with DSPS staff a plan to develop community resources to meet identified needs, explaining to DSPS staff conditions in the community, including attitudes about DSPS policy, services, and priorities. The list goes on. It's a tremendous task for us as 7 persons in a county that is the 9th largest in the United States according to the 2010 census, where we serve approximately, for Dallas Child Protective Services, serves approximately 2,350 children in foster care and another 650 families in the community for family-based safety services. And these numbers are as of May 2011. So currently we're overwhelmed with the breadth of tasks that we are expected to complete. 3 of our members, of course, are officers, president, or chair, vice chair, and treasurer. The number that I listed above does not include foster parents and other professionals with whom we have to interface in order to assess the needs of abused and neglected children that we serve in Dallas County. I also wanted to note that smaller counties in Texas have more members. Their bylaws allow for their boards to be comprised of either 13 to 15 members. So what we're asking is for our bylaws to conform to Texas Family Code, section 264.005A, which allows for board membership between 7 and 15 persons. Specifically, we're requesting that the commissioners appoint at least 6 board members to the board, which would allow our number to increase to 13. We're asking that the board size be kept at an odd number for voting purposes in case of a tie vote. The second amendment is to add the position of secretary for an officer. Currently, we have a staff member of Child Protective Services who's serving in this role, which is not their responsibility. So we're just adding that, and we have a current board member, Kathleen Shaw, who has volunteered to step into that position should the commission approve the amendment. Do y'all have any questions? I'll be happy to answer.
I think those are very good comments that you make, and I certainly will support that. You need more board members. I know you've had trouble with getting enough active members, and certainly the board secretary makes a lot of sense.
I just want to say also that the current board that we have is very active, and we're very excited about the appointments that you all have already made. I have been an attorney and guardian ad litem for children in Dallas County for 14 years. I served as the director of the Child Advocacy Clinic at the School of Law. So I'm very familiar with the system and understand all the intricacies and complexities of figuring out what is best for the children in Dallas County. So definitely this comes very heartfelt for me and for the stakeholders.
Oh, I just want to thank, our chair, Jessica, for being here today. Thank you, Pat, for being here as well. I was reading some of the women's colleagues not too long ago, and I realized that the board was talking as I was reading about increasing the number of board members of the child welfare board. And I was, that's when I started thinking, well, here we have a board that wants to work hard and wants to have more people to do that work. So I definitely wanted to thank, Jessica for being here today and ask, you say that you want 6 new members. I think probably we can do 1 by district and then 1 at large. And that should not be any problem. And that will include the secretary position that Ms. Shaw will do, right?
Yes.
So with that being said, I would like to direct, Mr. Martin, if I'm here, any other my colleagues, post, to put a court order, Mr. Martin, so we can increase the number of the members of the child welfare board to, we have 7 right now, so add the additional members and start appointing them as soon as possible.
I'll have a court order on for next week and, for approval, and we can do that meeting and take it back to the meeting.
Again, thank you, Mr. Martin, thank you. Mr. Rushmore, thank you.
I certainly don't mind supporting that, but historically what we've found, when you add more, it's hard to get a quorum. And if you do get a quorum, the meetings take a lot longer, and then people stop coming. So just be aware of that. If you do put all 6 on there, additional 6, that could jump up and get you. So
We're happy we have a nominating committee that's responsible for providing names to the Commissioner's Court. So we're happy to supply you with names of persons who are already involved in the child welfare system who we've spoken with and who would be happy to serve, that we expect to attend the meeting, so we wouldn't have a problem with the form. Obviously, that may become an issue as time goes on, but as long as we have people who are interested in serving, we hope that they would be active. Thank you. Thank you.
Jessica, thank you for your leadership in bringing this. Apparently, they've been lumbering out there for years. Nobody's even bothered to bring it forward. And I think it comes forward because of this leadership. Thank you very much.
Do we already have a drop-off policy from a certain number of board members?
Yes.
So that ought to take care of, hopefully I'll take care of that.
I'm off with it.
It's consistent with the bylaws, which were just revised, if I understand correctly, by the board. So.
Yes, so the copy that I submitted is the proposed amendment to both the new language from the Trans Family Code as well as the additional language adding the secretary.
Thank you again, and we should have that next, minutes.
Thank you also.
Thank you.
Thank you, ladies. Judge Commissioners, item 2 on your agenda, Health and Human Services. All 3 court orders are on the informal agenda. A is on number 25, B is number 28, C is number 27. Item 3, Sheriff, that court order is on the informal agenda. And item 4, Juvenile, that court order is on the informal agenda. We're trying to move things before the summer recess. Item 5, Institute of Forensic Science, recommend approval of the revised institute fee schedule included as attachment A in your briefing. That would be effective July 1, 2011. Item 6, Tax Office, recommend approval of the contract with RLS Supermarket Stores, authorizing them to provide vehicle registration to the public.
On the forensic fees?
Yes, sir.
The auditor has signed off.
Yes, yes, sir.
$100,000 more.
Yes, sir.
Okay, you take it.
We'll take it. Cost recovery. Item 7, Homeland Security and Emergency Management recommends approval of the updated bylaws, adding additional court-appointed members, and adding Commissioner Dr. Elba Garcia as the court's second designated member to that committee. Ma'am?
I will.
Great, thank you. Item 8, Fire Marshal. That court order is on your formal agenda as a burn ban. Item 9, Human Resources Civil Service. 9A, recommends approval to publicize a discount program at the Texas Club and collect and disperse program funds. Item 9B, recommends approval to term appointments for the Sheriff's Department Civil Service Commission. Item 10, Public Works. 10A, that court order is on your formal agenda. 10B, recommends approval of Amendment 1 to the engineering services contract with Dowtech Engineering for additional engineering services for the Winter Green Road project. Item 10C, recommends rescinding court order 2011-741, consenting to the sale of tax foreclosed property at 13701 Lake June Road in Ball Springs. And item 10D, recommends amendment to court order 2011-666, deleting the award of property at 2345 Hoopquar Road and retaining the bid deposit and distribute to the parties listed in your briefing. Item 11, IT, we're going to pull that and bring it back at a later date. Item 12, Commissioners Court Administration. 12A, recommends reinstatement of Allen County vehicle usage policy language in the Dallas County Code. Commissioner Garcia had some question on that. I sent you a bunch of emails. I apologize for all the information.
Thank you, Mr. Martin. No, I just wanted to be sure that the language that we are reinstating
Yes.
in this is consistent with the policy. I understand there's 46 vehicles according to what you're saying
Correct.
that have the opportunity to, get out of the county lines. However, it has to be, has to come to this court.
Any-
Make sure that it's under the county cap.
Anyone taking a vehicle out of county has to be approved by the Commissioner's Court.
And
Correct.
I just wanted to be sure that I had that correctly. Thank you, Mr.
You're welcome. 12B, recommends approval of the revised sections of the county code as shown in your briefing. Item 13, budget, you have accomplished travel training requests. 13B, hiring fees exceptions in the district attorney's office, district clerk, county clerk, constable precinct 5, and the county auditor. 13C, recommends approval of the George Allen staffing, authorizing the addition of 20 detention service officer positions for the jail. Item 13D, recommends authorizing County Criminal Court of Appeals number 1 to Sharon Sage related to the use of a contract court reporter. 13E and F, those court orders are on your formal agenda. I have one bring up in miscellaneous. County clerk requests approval to reimburse Joanna Woodlaw for expenses for meals while attending Government Collections Association training conference in San Antonio, Texas from May 1st to 4th, 2011 in the amount of $38.84. And if there are no other questions on miscellaneous or information, sir?
Yeah, I do have a question. On the health club situation in Texas Club, I saw where we went from $10.07 to $21.
Right.
I read the letter. But what's going on with that? And is there a way for them to get that closer to $10 for our employees?
I understand they tried to get the numbers, they couldn't make it work for the $10, so they had to do it at $21.
It looked like to me it was some convoluted math formula based on how many employees you have. If somebody's getting $10, it's not us. Is that pretty much it?
There are some companies that are larger than New York that are
For 200 or 300 employees, because it's more of a percentage of their workforce or something.
I agree, Judge.
But it sounds like to me somebody else may want the business more than these people.
Well, we had, they had we had to do that in Washington for the first Thursday, and then they decided that they couldn't do the agreement like that. We held out for several weeks. We were considering not doing it at all. Had several employees who said we should do something to court, so we were able to come with that and draw it back.
Well, and as you know, way to do any better it's quite a difference for our employees. One day they say it's $10.07 a month, and the next day they're like, oh, well, wait, we changed our mind. Now you're going to pay us $21 a month. Quite a difference for some of our employees.
Voluntary. Next closest club, I believe, is 24-hour fitness up on Harwood. Their minimum $13 to $40.
So $21 for silver. cheapest option for our folks.
And just for clarification purposes, I wanted to let you know that the quarter of next week will be for 40 DSOs for the Georgia LNGL. Just depending on how you looked at the numbers, but it will be 40 for the quarter. Just
What is it?
For the purchase and installation of the air conditioning units for victims of heat crisis in Dallas County. And, I just want to thank them. I know that we probably don't say it enough, but I want to thank, Mr. Sterling and of course our CEO Linda Evans for always continue to, look into these projects, look into the people that really need it most in our county, and obviously put their money, these programs. Also, one of the things that I saw in quarter number 24 was that there was 4 individual donors, for $1,000 and $35, for different checks. People that just wrote a check to Dallas Health and Human Services. So, Mr. Thompson, well done. I do believe that we continue to make a difference in the future. Thank you.
I'd like to bring another foundation, or some foundation, all forward here in the future to do a better thing.
And I would love to read that resolution. Thank you.
If there are any private foundations in the audience that have money to burn the whole thing right,
Excellent follow-up.
you gotta get used to that money.
Yeah. Anybody who wants to donate, hey, just send those checks, right, Mr. Thompson?
And with that,
Can we read the rules again, Judge?
what's that?
Read the rules one more time.
I'm going to have that, read the rules again and we'll call it.
All Commissioners Court attendees are hereby advised that this meeting is conducted in accordance with the provisions of the Dallas County Code, Section 74-71. Visitors and registered speakers are to preserve order in the quorum at all times. Personal, profane, or slanderous remarks are not appropriate and will not be allowed at any time during this public meeting. Any and all applause is to be kept brief in observance of time constraints. Disruptive visitors and/or registered speakers may be removed and are subject to the penalties provided in the State of Texas Penal Code, Sections 38.13, 42.01, and 42.05. Registered individual speakers are limited to a maximum of 3 minutes, and the maximum discussion on any one topic is limited to 30 minutes.
And before we call up speakers, I want to make clear, a lot of our speakers are frequent, as are our speakers today, frequent speakers here at our court. I've been incredibly lenient with the speakers, warned them at least once before removing them. Henceforth, when you violate the rules, we will be removing you. You will be taken from the room by a bailiff, and if appropriate, you will be cited for your conduct. I aim that at no one in particular, but we must have order in this court. And this court, whereas it may be some of the comments that have been made in the past may be appropriate for political rallies, or they may be appropriate for call-in radio shows, or even for disc jockeys to say on their programs. The Commissioner's Court is a courtroom where we will have decorum and respect for the process, and where we welcome your opinions for and against the topics of the day, but in keeping with our rules. So that being said, I'll call forward our first speaker, which is Ms. Cecile Newberry Fernandez.
My name is Cecile Newberry Fernandez. I reside at 5540 Miller Avenue, and Judge, I just want to apologize about my earlier outburst. I have been prevented from speaking in the past unconstitutionally without an explanation, so I'm a little nervous about that. So anyways, I'm sorry. The fight against corruption is a central part of the United States Constitution. Its historical origins, the language of the debates around it, its substance and its structure. The framers' fears of corruption were wisely held. Their concerns are very close to the concerns of modern American citizens, who consider corruption to be one of the biggest threats to government. Understanding the threat of corruption and incorporating that understanding into constitutional law may be necessary for good self-government. The Constitutional Convention delegates were right to be diligent in including the anti-corruption principle in the Constitution. Internal decay of our political life due to power and wealth seeking by representatives and elites is a major and constant threat to our democracy. George Mason said, "If we do not provide against corruption, our government will soon be at an end." His concern was echoed by many voices throughout the summer of 1787, and it was discussed extensively in the public debates over the Constitution's ratification. In fact, corruption was discussed more often in the Constitutional Convention than factions, violence, or instability. It was a topic of concern on almost a quarter of the days that the members convened. Madison recorded the specific term corruption 54 times, and the vast majority of the corruption discussions were spearheaded by the influential delegates Madison, Morris, Mason, and Wilson. The attendees were concerned about the corrupting influence of wealth, greed, and ambition. The framers' discussion of the People's House and the Elite's House, the House of Representatives, and the Senate was shaped by concerns that the House would be populated by men of weak will, easily corrupted to use their office for venal ends, and that the Senate would become corrupt by vanity and luxury. Notably, George Washington's only contribution to the Constitutional Convention arose in the context of the debate about the size of the House of Representatives. Differences between legislators would lead to factional jealousies and personality conflicts if the same corrupting official tried to buy or create dependency across the body. Because secrets are hard to keep in large groups and dependencies are therefore difficult to create, the sheer size and diversity of the House would present a formidable obstacle to someone attempting to buy its members. Partly to protect against corruption, the delegates also required that House members reside in the represented district. Some delegates suggested eliminating the inhabitancy requirement, but the qualification survived because of fear that wealthy non-residents would purchase elections. Madison said, "If you do not require it, a rich man may send down to the districts of the state in which he does not reside and purchase an election for his department." On corruption, Madison also argued, "In either case, it is necessary to shut the door against corruption. If otherwise, they may make or multiply offices in order to fill them. Are gentlemen in earnest when they suppose that this exclusion will prevent the first characters from coming forward?"
Thank you. All right, our next speaker is Ms. Wayne Wooten.
Good morning. My name is Wayne Wooten. I live at 1000 Green Street. I came down here. I don't like this bill. I think government needs to move out this bill. Personally, I believe this is a sniper's nest. Assassination of site of the President of the United States of America right out that door. How y'all got in this bill, I don't know. But I want county government out of this bill. Now, that 8 seat y'all was talking about, you need it back. With the increased population of Dallas County, you need those 8 seats back. That's something you need it back. And I was 19 years old when President Kennedy was murdered out there. I just waved at him and the lady, and I was just so excited to see them. By the time I got to know was how well he was dead. That kind of been with me ever since. So when I saw that parade route going down Houston Street, and the citizens of this city had their back to the assassination site of President Kennedy, it just broke my heart. It's a one-way street going south. It shouldn't have happened. This is like sacred ground to me. This man gave up his life for civil rights, and we still fighting over it right now, but it's just something special to me. And I want this place to be, this building, I'm tear down for as I'm concerned. But that little street out there, I don't want citizens back turned to that street. It's crazy. It's like he's dead, and let's celebrate. It's like this is a memorial to Oswald to me. And I'm down here because of all this stuff that happened. I saw on TV yesterday, I ain't seen that many FBI down here when I would kill Kennedy. That's crazy. I don't understand what's going on here. And everybody's supposed to have representation. You supposed to represent District 3. You supposed to represent District 4. They supposed to represent you. Y'all both together. That's why I said this is a United States of America, but one planet. One planet and one race of people, human beings. All of us live, all of us do the same thing. Everybody don't care how much money you got. You don't get in that bathtub, but you gonna strike. All this silliness to stop. It's one planet and we have to live on it together. Thank you.
We're now reconvening in public session and we'll recess for this closed session. Is all right about that?